I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Giangrieco, second by Commissioner Warren to approve item 9, adopt resolution 2012-19, naming Robert Stroud EMA coordinator for the Hurricane Irene. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to approve item number 10 is listed on your agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Giangrieco to approve item 10, resolution 2012-20, naming Robert Stroud EMA coordinator for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program Mitigation Plan update. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Motion to approve item number 11 is listed on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Giangrieco, second by Commissioner Warren to adopt resolution 2012-21, naming Robert Stroud EMA coordinator for the applicant agent to the buyout program. Questions or comments? Yes.
Could you explain what HMGP stands for?
Hazard Mitigation Grant
Program.
Program.
That's listed on there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to approve item number 12 is listed on your agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Giangrieco to approve item 12, which is to sign a purchase and service agreement with Susquehanna County for children and youth with Kids Place National Center and Snacksville for a term of July 1st, 2011 through June 30th, 2012. Questions or comments? Yes.
What's involved in that service for the children? Any other details you can give?
These are all placement services. These are all programs that are controlled through children and youth. These are kids that get placed in services for needs that they have.
Okay. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve item number 13 is listed on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Giangrieco, second by Commissioner Warren to acknowledge and the acceptance of Mary Evans Registered Recorder, the resignation of Michael Harless from the temporary part-time clerk position in the Recorder's Office, and acknowledge the hiring for the part-time clerical position in the Registered Recorder's Office. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
I make a motion to approve item number 14.
Need a second.
Motion by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Giangrieco, item 14, the hiring of Jonathan Cronk, Montrose, by Susan Edelson, Prothonotary, of course, to the full-time second deputy Prothonotary position. Questions or comments?
I have a question. How come we're still filling positions at 37.5 hours? I thought we discussed this like 3 weeks ago. Do we have hours being accumulated in that office?
Do people in that office work comp or overtime? Yes.
Yeah. Well, then why do we continue to only hire at 37.5 hours?
That's how this position was created.
And
The last salary board.
It was created through the salary board at 37.5 hours. Salary board's going to have to meet. We're going to have to have another discussion about all these, about positions that are less than 40 hours. But with
We
elected
have to
officials.
compare that against the union contracts.
Right, we'll have to review it with the union contract. I don't think the
Does
union
that have anything
contracts.
to do with the union contract?
Well, if the hours have to be changed, would we have to talk to the union about it? Yes. Can they do anything that's a matter of?
Okay.
What
All right,
needs to
I'd
be
like
done.
that to happen, please.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Is the 37.5 hours, is that any advantage for the employee, or is it just for the county an advantage? Is there any
I don't know
advantage?
if it's an advantage for anybody.
So why do they do it?
That's the hours that that department works, 37.5 hours a week.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Motion to approve item number 15 as listed on the agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Giangrieco, second by Commissioner Warren to acknowledge the hiring of Ankar Patel, Esquire, by President Judge Kenneth Siemens to the open judicial law clerk for 32.5 hours per week. Questions or comments?
Again, I'm gonna question 32.5 hours,
32.5 hours.
and that's a benefit package like everybody else gets.
Well, they work different hours here. I don't think they start till 9 o'clock. So it is a little different the rest of them.
What is the job description of a law clerk? To do research, is that correct?
Whenever the judge is there, yeah. They can make the hours whatever they want.
Okay.
I think it needs to be a continued discussion with the salary board and with the groups about the hours. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Item 16.
I make a motion to approve item number 16 as listed on your agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Warren, second by Commissioner Giangrieco to acknowledge the termination of Sammy Borzak by President Judge Kenneth Siemens effective with August 24, 2012. Questions or comments?
And what is the position of Sami Boruzik?
Was juvenile probation officer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Okay, before we get into public comment, just a couple of quick reports. You have an update on what's going on with Penn State?
I had a meeting with Penn State Extension last week and the four-county business meeting. What came out of that is the bookkeeping is going to be combined over the 4 counties. It's going to be done in Bradford County. They're looking to maintain a physical presence in each county. We're supposed to get the operating cost budget tomorrow, Sylvia, that's supposed to come to you, to include the 4-H educator. The contract actually came, the MOU, it's here somewhere. They had presented a 1-year contract for a 4-H educator and not to start until January 1st. I asked that it start ASAP. November 1st was a good date to start, and for a 3-year contract to keep that going, and to advertise and hire by November 1st. So we're moving ahead, and we're working with the other counties and trying to see what they're paying, and we just want to pay our fair share.
Also, we attended, Commissioner Warren and I attended a meeting down in Lackawanna County on 911, so that everybody understands 911 has a lot of mandates coming out. 911 centers will have to be upgraded to what they call the next gen, which is allows 911 centers to receive video, data, text, all types of transmissions. Of course, if everybody stops and thinks for a second, all the 911 centers are equipped with analog phones, and of course none of them are capable of handling that, so they all have to be upgraded. What we're looking at is, you know, to upgrade our center would be between $400,000 to $500,000 to upgrade our center. PEMA normally would do the funding for a lot of that. Unfortunately, PEMA is using their 911 money. They're already using next year's money to pay this year's bills, and they figure in 2 years they'll be paying, they won't have any money to pay because they'll have already taken all the money in 2 years to pay the previous years. So they're going to be pretty much bankrupt on the 911 money. They are looking at trying to figure out a way to reassess the phone calls. The biggest problem they're having is the prepaid phones. They can't get it on the prepaid phones, and that's what's really hurting them right now. So what we're looking at across the state is a lot of 911 centers, all the 911 centers have to be upgraded. Funding is going to be limited, if any. So what we're looking at is, and it's already started, the northern tier out in the northwestern part of the state has like a 6 or 7 county consortium that's gone together to share technology. We're looking at trying to do the same thing here. We've had conversations with Lackawanna County, and we are hoping that Wayne County is going to come in with it, where we can get at least 3 counties together to share the hardware and the software. So that means that it won't be a burden all on one county. Now, there's a lot of advantages to that. First of all, when we're talking about the hardware and software, of course, we're talking about servers, computers, and the programs for it. Where they're hosted is irrelevant. The server doesn't have to be sitting in Susquehanna County in order for our system to work. Our system northwestern part of the state. So we're looking at is if we can join forces with these other counties and share the technology. Hopefully we can get FEMA to pick up most of the bill there so that it won't be a total cost to the taxpayers, which will help us. The other thing that came out that I wanted to make mention of too, one of the pushes that was coming out in the one of the articles I read this last couple weeks was that at the state level they're trying to push down a total reassessment of all properties, and they want to take and create a state organization to oversee the assessment so that the state has control over the assessment throughout the state and everybody's using the same formulas and being controlled by the state. Of course, any type of reassessment like that has a huge cost to the taxpayers. Reassessment to reassess Susquehanna County would probably be $4 to $5 million. It would be a cost to the taxpayers to do. I think it was Wayne County, I think was the one that tried to do it, and they spent up to about $6 million, and they finally stopped and didn't finish the reassessment. My concern, of course, there is once you create another state agency to oversee it and take all that authority away from the local levels, you're one step closer to having, as you so elegantly have put it, a world court that's going to control everything and we'll have nothing. So we need to be very cautious about this and make sure that we don't allow this to happen. So with that being said, I'll now open it up to public comment. Yes.
Apropos of all of this, when will budget discussions begin for the new budget for next year?
Budgets have been, budget information has been sent back out to the departments now, correct?
Correct.
Right, they've been sent back out to the departments now for the departments to start working on their numbers and to provide those numbers back within a couple of weeks so we can start reviewing it.
And will you have public hearings on these things?
Well, we'll have the commissioners' meetings, but at this point there won't be any public hearings on the budget.
So the public will never be involved in hearing beforehand. Is that the case, or will you be reporting at commissioners' meetings what you have in the budget?
Well, I'll be reporting at commissioners' meetings what we're doing with the budgets. We've already put out a request to the department heads that any controllable items be reduced by 10% to try and drive down the cost of government. We're continuing to look at personnel throughout the county. Positions that don't need to be replaced, we're not going to replace, and positions that we think that need to be reviewed and possibly eliminated, we're going to continue to do that.
But overall, you don't expect that you will have a public forum, discussion, presentation of what the upcoming budget will be?
I think that the most we'll do is we'll announce at our commissioners meeting what our budget will be, and then the budget will be available for review on the counter for everybody to see.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Last 2 weeks, the last meeting, you and I spoke after the meeting, and I asked you if you could possibly make a report of whatever you do between meetings to help the citizens who are complaining about any issues related to gas drilling and fracking. So have you been able to do anything to advocate the past 2 weeks that you can report to us?
As far as the last 2 weeks, yeah, I've had a couple other conversations with Sandy Majors in relation to the gas industry. As far as the other time, most of my other time's been spent working on other problems and issues right now.
So can you give any details what you said to Sandy Majors or what she said to you?
Well, our conversation was, as usual, that the concerns that we're making sure we're doing the right thing, that we're reviewing what's going on in the county and making sure that legislation's there and that state agencies are in place to help. And her response was that, to me, was that she had been in contact with DEP and other agencies and they were on site and doing what they were supposed to be doing.
Thank
Any
you.
other public comment? Yes.
Question, you said that there was estimated to be $400,000 to $500,000 for updating 911.
Right.
Does that include personnel and cross-training, or is that only for
No,
the physical
that's
plant
just
operation?
hardware and software.
Would you be scheduling to look for new personnel to fill in the gaps that you're going to have, or are you going to cross-train the staff you already have?
Well, the staff that we already have will be trained to handle that. I don't think anybody has a full grasp yet as to how much additional time or manpower it's going to take once you start receiving, video and text. You and I both know that when you receive a phone call, it's a real quick resolution. But if you start receiving text messages or you start receiving data or video, it could take quite a bit longer. And I think we're trying to wait and see. Everybody's trying to figure that out, and we're trying to see when the first groups get up and running, how much additional manpower it's going to take to do that.
Okay, now as a former first responder, something that I've always seen that works best is when we roll out something at this level that we make it as inclusive as possible. So would callback or reverse calling be installed with this installation, or would that have to be handled on a case-by-case?
My understanding, and I'm still trying to get fully up to speed on NextGen, my understanding with NextGen, all of that capability is going to be there, reverse calling and everything. Any other public comment? Yes.
The Economic Development Board recently gave an award to Cabot Gas for being the Business of the Year. And who sponsors the Economic Development Board? Is that a county office? Who pays for that board and their salaries?
I don't think there's anybody that pays.
There is no pay.
Yeah, there's no pay.
It's a volunteer group?
It's a volunteer group. The Economic Development is a committee that's approved by, appointment is approved by the Commissioner's Office.
So you approve who's on the board? And how many are on the board?
Currently, there's what, because we have a couple open positions.
There's 5 on the board already.
5 on the board right now, yeah.
And I'd like to know how they were able to give Business of the Year award to a business that has 450 violations in our county since 2008.
Well, I would suggest you talk to the chairman, which is
And who is the
John
chair?
Kameen.
Who is it?
John Kameen.
John Kameen?
Yeah.
And ask him why he made such a decision for a company that has so many violations.
Chris, yeah.
Yeah, first I'd like to thank the board, and you especially, for responding, hopefully, to constructive criticism 3 weeks ago about bringing information forward. So thank you, especially for the 9/11 information, etc. And here comes the clincher. I really think that those things should be recorded in the minutes for posterity, as prescribed by the Sunshine Law. Secondly, are we looking at another tax above the $1.50 we just were assessed for 9/11?
Well, there is conversations that they've had in Harrisburg right now. They've been talking about increasing that. I don't know what to. I don't think it's going to be. I was hearing numbers like $1.90 or $1 or $2. I haven't heard anything else. Now they have created some other legislation that does create other taxes that could be imposed. They've created, there's legislation to impose a earned income tax at the county level. There's also a legislation to impose a sales tax at the county level. So, I mean, to me, it's like they keep creating ways for us to increase taxes here so that eventually I see all those tax dollars going there so that they don't have to keep increasing their taxes.
I have one final question. Why is the flag at half-mast this month?
Yesterday was 9/11 and the president wanted it down. I've tried to call maintenance twice this morning, but the department head of maintenance is out, so I had trouble getting a hold of them. It needs to go back up.
Yes.
Last time we spoke about the $1.50
Right.
tax, you had made a statement, and I think this is what you said, that the tax that's been imposed, the $1.50, is actually funding equipment and materials that are basically obsolete.
Right.
So on top, so that actually we're paying, that tax is actually paying for past expenses.
Well, it not only equipment, but it also pays for personnel.
But basically the equipment is obsolete, so,
Oh, yeah.
so now we're looking at an additional tax, possibly to upgrade equipment. Is that what you said?
No, well, locally, no. At the state level, the state may increase that $1.50 tax because they don't have enough money coming in to fund 911 at its current level. They can't even begin to upgrade it because they can't even fund it at the current level. And if we made no more changes in 2 years, there would be no more, they would already have spent the following years, all of the following year's money. And that's the problem they're facing. And the problem isn't so much the $1.50 on what they're collecting. The big problem is the money they're not collecting on the prepaid phones. Because the prepaid phones, and you're not getting any money on it at all. So that's the problem that they've got right now, is trying to figure out how to fix that problem with the prepaid phones. But as I said, this is another issue where a mandate's coming down from the federal government down through the state, where you have to be able to provide this service with video and data and texting and all this other stuff, and there's no funding to support it. It's just another mandate that's unfunded, and in order for us to comply, you know, we have to be kind of creative to work with other organizations to try and reduce the cost to our taxpayers and reduce the cost to our county, and hopefully we can share that cost. The other thing that does allow us to do too is, you know, you're required to have a backup facility for your 911. Our backup facility basically is our trailer. Well, by joining with other counties with this hardware and software, if our 911 center goes down, we can send our dispatchers to their center. They can log in as themselves and still be able to do the work from that center, which will be a nice option too. So, any other public comment? Yes.
This question is to Mike. Mike, since you are an attorney, the families in Dimmock the past week or two, several families, like about 8 of them that were in litigation, accepted settlements. And in order to accept the settlements, they had to sign non-disclosure agreements. So they can't speak about the case or details or anything about the gas companies forever. So how do you feel about non-disclosures in our county, that residents who have trouble with the gas companies, when they accept settlements, they must sign non-disclosures? How do you feel about those?
I have no comment on that.
And why don't you have a comment?
Because I don't.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Also, I'd like to say, too, that the past 2 weeks I learned that Cabot was found guilty of another group of homes, water wells that have been contaminated in Lenox, and the DEP found them guilty. Did you know about that, Alan and Marianne and Mike? That they were found responsible, and they contaminated from the Stalter gas well site in Lenox. They contaminated 4 homes. And they were made responsible for that. So do you know about that? And have you been able to talk to Sandy Majors or the governor about the increasing amount of homes that have to have water delivered. Cabot is delivering water to more homes now, and WPX continues to deliver water to Franklin Forks. That hasn't been settled yet either, at this point.
I have no comment on that. Any other public comment? Yes, Mr. Rainey.
I wanted to thank you guys for doing the 5 meals for the elderly. I thought that was a good move on your part. It was a problem created by the state and you fixed it. I wanted to thank you. I think that's the right thing to do and you did it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It was a tough decision to make, you know, of course, put more money out from the county, but I think it's a program that's very important to the elderly and that we take care of that. That's all.
I agree with Jim on that 100%. Motion to adjourn?
I have a comment, another comment. And do you know also, Alan, it's in your neighborhood where you live in the Halstead area, the Great Bend Authority, Sewer Authority. I went to a meeting past couple of days, and they've had complaints from residents with black water in their water wells, and now they're wondering about any kind of concern about that getting into the water system or getting into the river, going across into New York. Do you know anything about that? That's in your neighborhood.
My water's fine.
So you're personally fine?
Yeah.
So you haven't heard about the black water?
Well, I'm on city water, so most people that live in town there are on city water. And people that have black water, I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be because somebody dumped Clorox in their system, and they had a lot of iron, and that could make it black. So there's all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, so you haven't heard anything further?
No. Okay, a motion to adjourn?
Motion, I'll second it.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
9:29.
9:29.